Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about The Bachelorette. Christy. Do you have any worldwide Bachelor Nation news for us before we swing into the first episode of this 19th season of The Bachelorette?
Well, I didn't officially prepare any. I mean, there have been a lot of breakups. I'm assuming, like, over the summer. You know about Michelle and Nate.
Yeah.
Katie and John. I'm sure there's others I'm forgetting, but...
So everybody. Is that what you're saying? It's everybody?
I mean, there's still some Paradise couples together. Like, Kenny and Mari are still together, and Joe and Serena.
Yes, that's right, because we saw the ad with those two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot of tie-in advertising.
Yeah, we saw Ashley, I, and Jared last night also, their commercial.
I'll be honest, it kind of irritates me, but...
Cross promotion.
Yes. Look, I don't know what to tell you. It's just how I am, who I am. I can't help myself. I just hate advertising. So, before we got into things, I wanted to ask your opinion about the format for this season, because I look at that and I see a franchise struggling to stay relevant after so many years that they kind of went with this. And I obviously haven't been involved for super long, so I don't necessarily have the right perspective on things. So I wanted to ask you about that, because this is a really weird way to do things, and it also it introduces a lot of problems to this season, in my opinion. So I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Well, for this first episode, it was actually a little more awkward than I thought it was going to be. Especially the limo entrances where the guy walks up and has to, like, awkwardly greet two people at the same time, but also try and keep it special between, I don't know, it was a weird and awkward dynamic there. I hope as the season goes on, it becomes a little better, because then they can at least separate and talk to men individually and have separate dates. So it'll feel more like a normal season, I think, except for that whichever episode it is where they have to, like, pick between the two. That's not going to be fun.
Yeah, there was one thing that I noticed at the beginning was how platonic it was, because nobody wanted to go out there and presumably
plant their flag.
Well, you're just sort of screwed no matter what you do at some level, because it's like, okay. So essentially, you have three choices. One, which is what everybody did, which is just go for hugs, just keep it real family friendly, just do all of that, or you could kiss one of them, which pretty much scuttles your chances from the very beginning, because you end up riling the other one, which isn't good, since allegedly, at least, they're super close. Or third option, you could kiss both of them, which is just as bad. So yeah, that was one sort of clunky thing I noticed. The other, like, the amount of screen time, I think, is going to be an issue going forward. I mean, you can always cut footage with contestants. I mean, that's just how that ends up being. It just gets a lot trickier, I think, when you have the two leads, and so now you're competing between the two of you versus this is my season. The guys will be with me and have screen time, or they won't be with me, and sometimes they'll get screen time. Versus now, it's like, what are you even going to show? And this is selfish, but it just makes it a lot easier, or not easier, but a lot harder for us, because there's so much more to keep track of now. It's like, oh, who actually had that conversation?
Yeah. It's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm. It's like one of those convoluted math problems from like elementary school where you had all the different types of toppings and whatnot, and you had to figure out how many different combinations of pizza you'd have. It's like that, but trying to figure out, oh wait, so Gabby kissed James. Wait, was it James she kissed? No, wait. Oh, no, actually, no. It was Kirk. It was Kirk who kissed Gabby. So yeah, that may not be.
I kind of wonder if they'll just end up focusing on a select few throughout the season for each woman, because otherwise it's too much.
I mean, I don't see how they're going to do anything different. Really, I think it's gonna be a problem. So you're just diluting things. So how does this shake out in terms of Instagram followings? You know, how does all that work? So it introduces a lot of problems, which is why I see that, and my cynical little mind goes, well, they were just grasping at straws of how to stay fresh, and they were like, okay, well, middle America isn't ready for gay Bachelor yet, so let's just throw in Clayton's cast-offs here and be like, see, we're doing a good thing. They get to find love, when we all know your chances of actually finding love are minuscule on this thing. I mean, point to all the breakups over this summer, plus many years of breakups as well. So I don't know. That's where I end up coming from. But I wanted to know if you were in a similarly cynical state, or you're still holding on to.
I've always thought it was like, okay, well, here's just like a shiny new concept. I mean, they're kind of copying what Joe Millionaire did, which was on Fox, I think, where they had two guys and then a whole group of girls. So we've seen that concept can work, but yeah, it does get a little confusing and convoluted. I think The Bachelor was just like, here's something new, regardless of the mess it makes along the way.
Mm-hmm. Because yes, it will make a mess. Because also, I wanted to ask you, do you have any insight about the actual logistics of the season? Because what they're claiming on during the episode, at least, is that the two of them just have free reign, and it seems on the outside that there really is no plan.
It does seem that's how they went into it. Like, not only the Gabby and Rachel, but Jesse even said, like, what happens if the two of them fall in love with the same man? We don't even know how that works. So I think they're just winging it.
So you do think that it's accurate, that nobody has a clue what they're doing?
I mean, I don't know when it was decided to have 2 of them, but it seems like it was kind of last minute to me. So that doesn't bode well for planning.
No, it doesn't.
So I guess we'll see how much of a disaster it ends up being.
Like, what? I just want to go over to wherever the ABC headquarters are and just start shaking people. I mean, what are you thinking? What? You have all this money, all this time, and you're just cobbling this thing together like you're some sort of cocaine-fueled SNL writer's room the night before everything goes on. Like, what are you...
Well, at the end of the day, people are going to watch, and so it doesn't even matter if it's a catastrophe. I mean, we saw what a mess Clayton season was. Like, people love mess. So they're actually getting what they want in the end, if that's what happens.
I guess I just question the sustainability long term of unrestricted chaos. Because obviously, as you mentioned, people love watching the drama and the chaos and everything. But I think at a certain point, it gets to be a little bit much. It's like I want to see the chaos and drama of the season. I don't want to see the chaos and drama because nobody at ABC did their job, and the film crew just showed up one day because like 5 months ago they were told they should, but nobody has any idea what they're doing. Like, that's not the mess that I want to see. I want to see the interpersonal nonsense and all of that. Yeah. I don't want to see hastily thrown together TV show.
Yeah, I get your point. I'm not really sure why they didn't plan it better, but
well, and again, I may have a bit of a unique perspective here as somebody who hasn't been watching for very long, and so I'm still not. I'm not addicted. It doesn't have its hooks so far into me that I just am willing to overlook absolutely anything.
That's because you didn't join during what I consider like the peak seasons. You joined during COVID, which to me has been part of the downturn. Even though they've still been entertaining, it just isn't the same as like Sean Lowe era, Ben Higgins, that's sort of those seasons. So
yeah, I don't know. I may be wanting or expecting too much.
I think you gotta go to cable for better put together shows. Like, if you watch Love is Blind, there is a very, very clear like production level. It is much higher.
I have no idea what that is.
That's the one where people get engaged after talking to each other through a wall. But anyway, that's another show.
Don't think I've heard of that. Anyway, sorry, I kind of derailed us massively from our first episode, which in my opinion is totally fine because
yeah, the first episode is kind of the same each season.
And I was sitting there with my notes as the introductions happened, and I just kept wanting to be this person, my note on them, blah. Next person, my note on them, blah.
I had a few people I wrote blah for because they did nothing.
I actually wrote lame a few times.
Well, I think the first guy out of the limo would fall under that lame category.
Yes, I will read my note on him verbatim. Zach, blah, 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 platitudes.
He said I'm a hugger, which I hate when people use that phrase. So that was a bad start for me.
It's kind of like a grandmaism. It's like, oh, come here, baby, I'm a hugger. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like for most of these people, we can just completely skip them. I mean,
we have to talk about Jason though.
well, yeah. What? I'm like having an anger stroke right now because what would possess you to think that you should, in this situation or any situation, bring up Clayton?
Well, so the producers for sure encouraged all these guys to do that, but I feel like his was second worst of the people who brought up Clayton, because he gets out the limo and says, I have something in common with Clayton. I'm in love with 3 women, which Clayton famously said. But then he's like, oh, it's my mom, my sister, and my dog.
That is awful.
In every way. You don't say you're in love with your sister or your mom.
Or your dog.
The dog I can forgive, but not the family members.
No, you can forgive. I don't know. That's a little.
It's all weird, but
it's all incredibly weird. Yeah, no. You gotta say no to the producers.
Terrible limo entrance.
In that case, like, just no. I mean, you really. I don't know, you had some people make an effort. Like I was reasonably okay with Avon, who was like, oh, I really want to make your grandpa proud, Rachel, and I don't want to get on Big Tony's bad side, you know. So like that's
that
I
was
mean,
fine.
that's probably as good as you can do in a circumstance where you can't just kiss them.
Yeah, I also like Jordan, who brought the headphones, who like put a headphone on each, like one at a time.
He was trying
so you could talk to them individually.
Yeah, which I'm 99% sure those who are not actually proper noise canceling headphones.
Oh no,
because I'm both heard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rachel later on said she could hear.
Yeah, well, yes, you're right, she did, and then she was like, but I really, I meant so much to me. Yeah, I mean, most...
Yeah, Michael, Chris, Mario, none of those were worth lingering on.
You had the coach with...
I did not like Kirk, the coach. He was like trying to hype them up with this weird coach.
It was just the very typical, like, rah-rah pregame, we're going to go out and kick butt.
Yeah, that didn't work for me. Ethan juggled... Said he's not good at juggling 2 women. Oh, and then Logan with the chickens. That was weird. And he spent the rest of the night like squeezing the heck out of them.
I know, that's not that is not like, look, someone who has actually dealt with baby chickens before, they're decently hardy, but like, come on, dude, he had them in his fists, like
by the neck,
squeezing them. Like, dude, come on. Surely there's like a bowl or something in this mansion you could stick them in so that you're not strangling them constantly. And as was well deserved, one of them pooped in his hand later. So I was happy about that. How about Quincy?
This was another failed limo entrance, even though I thought it was funny. He walks up to them and he's like, I haven't had sex in a year and a half. I've been like saving it or holding out or whatever. I'm just thinking, did you not watch Clayton's season where both of them had sex? Like, what is this gonna do? Like, they don't care.
He was trying to make some point about how he was really intentional, and for example, I haven't had sex in a year and a half.
It's just a weird thing to brag about to two people who are not like saving themselves for marriage or anything.
I don't. I think maybe he was alluding to a dig on Clayton there with saying he was intentional, but
maybe.
I just, yeah. Also, so what did? Oh, that's what it was. I wrote down, juvenile joke. Gabby didn't like the Clayton jokes.
Oh, the thinking with the right head.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, this was now a string of people referencing Clayton.
Right, which, unsurprisingly, was not appreciated.
Did not go over well. And it culminated with Alec, who brought a kids' choir singing about how much Clayton sucks.
Choir might be a slight exaggeration. There were
quartet or whatever.
There were 4 small Asian children.
Like, who taught them this Clayton sucks song?
Not that hard.
It was so cringe.
I'll be honest, I was a little surprised that he wasn't sent home for that.
I would have sent him. In fact, I would have just said, get back in the limo.
Like, it's over.
Like, all the, like, ribbing on Clayton, it's like, we get it. His season was months ago now. We don't need to keep harping on it.
Right, literally. I mean, it ended, like, beginning of March?
Yeah.
And it's now mid-July. So, yeah, let's not think about Mr. Jumbo Neck, okay? We have other priorities here. I also just... James... I didn't appreciate this. It's so wasteful.
The meatball sub.
Yes, he brought in like a 12-foot meatball sub.
That looked so bland.
Literally a meatball sub. Nothing else on it. It didn't even look like... Because a lot of the time, you'll have a meatball sub. You throw meatballs on there. You'll like ladle some marinara sauce on there. You'll put cheese, like all this different stuff. It didn't even look like they put any marinara sauce on it. It just looked like it was... meatball. And yet, at least one guy was like, you know what? I'm going to go
Might
for
as
it.
well. Yeah, it didn't look tasty to me, but I guess it was just a gimmick, so it didn't need to be.
Yeah, we'll see how long he lasts with all his balls.
And Justin came in barefoot. I don't remember why, but that was weird.
Well, he's trying to differentiate himself.
And then I didn't understand Brandon's like costume he came in where it was like
this weird spandexy thing. I just said weirdo.
Yeah, I didn't get that one.
It wasn't. Yeah, there was no. It was sort of like a stretchy spandex like pillowcase sort of thing. Yeah, that was weird. I did not appreciate that. What did you think about Roby?
I barely remembered his limo entrance. I guess he did a card trick.
Yeah, he had a card that then he turned into a watch because he was really looking forward to spending time with them or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I was just cracking up at John because he went and he hugged Rachel and called her Gabby? Was that it?
Yeah, he messed up their names.
That was very funny to me.
He must have been real nervous.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Dino came in on a literal forklift.
Because he's in construction, which is just weird. He even said he drives one rarely because he's in construction. He's not in a warehouse. People aren't driving forklifts like that size around construction sites very often.
He couldn't get a tractor, so he went with the next best thing.
No, yeah, Rachel was swooning.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, and of course you had to really rub it in. He's like, I'm in construction, so I'm really good with my hands.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Which Rachel continued to swoon at.
Mm-hmm.
A little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
He also he got off the forklift and he was like, "Can I just say, you two are forking gorgeous."
That was such a bad pun.
Oh, so awkward. But still, he managed to excite Rachel.
Yeah, it did work out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Jacob, who rode in on a horse shirtless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, long hair, greased up.
I still do not appreciate the oiled up look on TV.
Well, I think it was supposed to be like a play on like cheap romance novels.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
You're like, no, I understood what they were trying to do.
I got the whole vibe.
I just hated it.
No, I don't like it.
I see. Well, I'm very sorry. I feel like
we had a whole string of blah blah.
Yeah,
people. I did like that Spencer brought the chairs because they're in heels all night.
Oh wow, that got you, huh?
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Wow. Yeah, everybody else, I mean...
Yeah, nothing else really noteworthy.
I mean, they did, like... Eric showed up with his tie untied and was like, you should tie it, which they proceeded to do the most awful job of I've ever seen.
I would have done a terrible job as well. I don't know how to tie one.
You gotta level up your skills there. Yeah, it was real bad.
Yeah, it was real crooked.
No, it wasn't. It was okay. It wasn't even tied in a tie knot of any kind. It was very, very strange. Yeah, everybody else was just like, meh. I feel like they probably didn't even... Did they even... I don't think they even showed everybody. Because there were 107,000 of them.
Yeah, a lot of people got montaged.
Which... don't care.
No.
Again, I won't know who any of these people are for another few weeks. And that's just how it is. Especially, and I don't understand why they chose to do this. And I don't even remember if this is usual. But they weren't even... So they were only showing the chevrons, or whatever you call it, when the person had an ITM, rather than just whenever they showed up, because you still had a lot of one-on-one situations there, because obviously it's the cocktail party, the ladies are mingling and having conversations, but it's like, this is the first episode. You couldn't just shoot that on the screen for us, you know? It's like, it was so right, it was so confusing, like, and trying to make sure, okay, like, and hoping that Rachel or Gabby would mention their name in the conversation, like, afterwards.
Yeah, that's a common problem I've seen from season to season. It's like, a guy will sit down and start talking, and it's like, okay, who is this?
No idea. Yeah, I just think it's doubly awful and unacceptable this season when you have a large volume of guys, 32, and you also have 2 bachelorettes. So it's a lot of pieces to try to put together and keep straight who's actually talking to you because like we wouldn't like. I feel like a normal person would be totally lost. Like we weren't, but that's because we actually went through the cast bios pretty thoroughly and have a decent idea or knowledge of most of these people. So shame on you, ABC. Give us the freaking names.
Yeah, it would make our job a lot easier.
Well, let's talk about the main part of this episode, shall we?
Yep, Gabby and Rachel give, the standard speech every Bachelorette gives about being vulnerable, trusting, stay open. We know what it's like to be in your shoes.
Well, they just they were just in Clayton season. They understand how hard it is. To be open and vulnerable.
I just would appreciate a more realistic speech. Like, I'm not really going to have a chance to get to know all of you. This type of thing. Some of you had some terrible limo entrances.
Yeah. I did not appreciate the beginning of the cocktail party whatsoever, sort of post-speech. Because they started out interviewing people together.
Oh, what was that? That was terrible.
That was the dumbest thing.
So awkward.
Incredibly awkward. Like, how are you supposed to... Like, I understand it's new. It's new territory here. But surely you'd have the common sense to not try to make a person impress both of you at the same time.
I kind of feel like this is what happens when you don't have enough crew members to shoot all the footage. Like, just combine them. It'll be fine.
It's almost like they should have planned this season better.
Yeah, and the worst of it was the twins.
Yeah, I mean,
we didn't even talk about their limo entrance because they did nothing.
Right, absolutely nothing. Yeah, so they're identical twins. I did want to touch on Roby real quick because I feel like he got the short end of the stick a little bit, being with both of them at the same time. I feel like that's got to be even more nerve-wracking than just dealing with one of them. But then I think, and I didn't want to cast judgment when we went over the cast bios, but I kind of thought it was like magician. He may not have the best social skills.
Oh no.
And look, I know this it was high pressure, but it kind of validated that here. Because again, he did a card trick for them, and it was kind of all awkward and everything. So yeah,
well, he just asked like the weirdest questions. I don't know, it was strange.
Look, magicians are a different breed. But yeah, so pretty awkward. And then the twins were just...
They were like, yeah, we're the same person, basically. Which is not a good first impression.
That their personalities were different. But besides that, totally the same. So they went to the same college. I think what they said was they lived together for the first 2 years, and then the last 2 years they didn't, just to change things up. But they have the exact same job, just for different companies, so it's not weird or anything.
It's just, I don't even understand why they came. Like at least if you're gonna come as twins, you gotta make yourself different people.
I mean, they're identical twins.
It's such a joke.
No. I don't even know what purpose that served.
No, none.
I don't even know what to say. It was just it's such a big nothing. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah, it just, when I go to bed tonight, I will never think of you ever again. You'll be erased. It won't even make it into my long-term memory. That's how boring it was. So, and just when I thought all hope was lost and they were going to be complete morons this whole episode, they did shift to talking to people by themselves.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really like Ryan's little segment with Rachel, I think it was.
A giant butthole.
I don't even remember what they were doing, but he ended up like writing stuff on a whiteboard, I think, trying to teach her Boston lingo.
He's from Boston, so he was like, oh, like if I bring you to Boston, you need to know how to fit in. And it just.
Oh, I think he was talking to Gabby. Sorry, not Rachel.
Yes. Is that true?
I think so, because Gabby was kind of laughing along with him.
No, he was. Ryan was. This was with Gabby because that
is what I'm saying. Yeah, Gabby.
Yeah, so because he was doing this stuff on the whiteboard, he would write out a phrase and then how you say it in Boston, which, let's be honest, I wasn't very impressed as someone from the Northeast. But the biggest thing, and I'm sure people were commenting about this on the internet, because she was like laughing along and like cracking jokes and stuff, and he kept shushing her super aggressively. He was like, Gabber, shh, shh, shh.
I didn't like that at all. It was very aggravating.
Yeah, it was like, dude.
She didn't seem to hate it though, which I found strange.
I mean, it seemed like she took it in a pretty like joking manner. It didn't
come off well.
It seemed more aggressive than joking. It's like, if this is at all representative of your character, you need to like not date people until you figure yourself out, because that seemed very disrespectful to me personally.
I thought so as well.
Hopefully we won't ever have to deal with him ever again. Who else?
Well, the shirtless guy with the long hair who rode on the horse, Jacob. He sat down with Gabby, gave her a list of attributes he wants in a future partner.
Yeah, she seemed suitably impressed. I guess by the fact that he seemed prepared.
I guess.
I just had a hard time taking him seriously, just there without a shirt on the entire time. You know, he was like, "Whoa, getting chilly."
I know, we saw him sitting by the fire at one point.
Yeah. Then you forgot Hayden.
Oh yeah, he gave Rachel a birthday card.
Which
that was nice.
I'm not surprised that it was he was paired with Rachel, because Gabby did not seem impressed from the introduction. Yeah, he like wrote, it was very like kindergarten, create a card for someone card. I think he just folded a piece of paper in half and then wrote in block letters, which, you know, can be romantic. She seemed to like it. But yeah, her birthday was weeks ago.
Yeah, a little belated.
just slightly, just a minimum of 2 weeks, probably 4. Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes it takes a little while to get through all the vetting to the season, so didn't want to let that opportunity go to waste.
So then both Avon and Jordan chatted with Rachel, and both times she thought they were going to kiss her, and they did not.
No, which again, I don't know why there was any amount of surprise here. It's like it's such a weird situation that are you really going to be all shocked that people are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
I don't think any of the guys really wanted to like choose so early.
Right, and look, maybe this is some sort of, ingrained thing from the patriarchy or something. I don't know. But, like, I feel like I, at least, have more respect for, like, that sort of tension of, like, okay, well, I don't want to just be throwing kisses out to everybody at this point. Because who was it? There was one guy who was really going after both of them.
That was Eric.
And that's right, because it was the tie. And I was watching him, and I was like, what a scumbag.
I knew it did not come off well,
Right?
even though he's allowed to get to know both of them.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think it's just sort of ingrained in a lot of people. Like there's some sort of level of decorum or just trying to behave properly, which had sort of maintained or at least created that awkwardness and like physical distance for the first episode, which is what I was talking about. Like, it's really freaking weird. Like, I know that people wanting to go on reality TV maybe aren't the most normal people on average, but at the same time, it still is a little weird and weirder to go ahead and just be kissing multiple people. Because, like, it's one thing if it's just going in one direction. Like, the leads obviously are going to be kissing multiple people. That's how it goes. And so the lead just, like, gets their mouth zapped with a UV laser or whatever it is they do, so they're not transmitting STDs. But I think it's weird for people to think about it bouncing back and forth of like, oh, me as a contestant, I'm just going to go kiss both of them.
Well, it's kind of like Bachelor in Paradise.
Right, but here I think there's an element of self-preservation that doesn't exist in Bachelor in Paradise because there's so much rotation in Bachelor in Paradise that that is a legitimate way of playing the game.
Yeah.
But there's no rotation here, and so if you're not in with one of them, that could cause problems. I don't know. It's just, I think that part of it creates a lot of awkwardness. So yeah, so there was a lot of not kissing.
Yeah, until we got to Tino, who did eventually kiss her.
Well, he really just got to her heart there. She had some stare issues.
Understandably.
I guess so Was he referring to the fact that she was sitting on the stairs of that building in Iceland?
Yes.
Crying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wasn't positive that that's what he was talking about. But yeah, so he really just wanted to help her make some new stair memories instead of them. And I look, I legitimately do feel bad for how much joy I got out of that. But it was one of the funniest things. And I know it probably sounds callous to say this, but just that building they were filming in is so big and so empty that as this whole other thing was going on, you just hear her. She's sitting somewhere down below on the stairs. She's just wailing. And as all this other stuff is going, you just hear that in the back. There's no eliminating that. There's no removing that. It's just echoing around the building. And again, I feel bad, but man, I just died laughing. And whenever I think about it, I just die laughing again because it's so absurd and so ridiculous. But yeah, he used this as his opportunity to break the no kissing streak of this episode, and she was very happy about that.
Yes. Then Jesse brings in the first impression rose. Yes, 2 of them.
Which is also just a weird thing. I also like. So here's another problem that I have. And again, maybe I'm just a crusty old man and nobody cares what I have to say. But the Gabby and Rachel dynamic is not a positive for me. I don't need that.
Are you talking about like when they debrief with each other?
Right. It's just like, oh, who did you kiss? Oh, I kissed this person. Oh. like I don't need that in my life.
I think they're trying really, really hard to drive home the best friends just looking for love who definitely will not be pitted against each other at some point during the season.
Right.
Narrative.
Right. They're trying to really smack around that storyline for sure. It's just
they're trying so hard, so it's a little over the top. All the squealing and
right. It's just very reminiscent of bringing in Caitlin and Tayshia.
Yeah.
And all of the stuff that happened with that. Because again, it's like, I guess the problem I have with it is it seems so fake. And maybe I've just been around a different kind of woman my entire life. But overall, that's just like, it's very, very exaggerated, which is just super weird when you just think about like none of these people are like nincompoops. like Tayshia is a very intelligent person, it seems like, and I know that like because like being intelligent doesn't mean you can't be silly or anything. It was so over the top that it irritated me.
Yeah, it is a little annoying. It seems forced. Like if in real life if they were talking to themselves without a camera crew there, that isn't quite how they would act. So it does feel a bit like we're on TV, so we gotta like amp it up.
Right. Like, do women really, like, women that age really, like, do that high-pitched squeal thing? Like,
I don't know. None of my friends do that, so I don't know.
And maybe we just run in very sad and reserved circles. I don't know. It just, yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of those segments last night.
And I didn't really appreciate it, especially when at some point the producers are going to find a way to screw one of them over, and it's going to cause major issues, and they're never going to speak with each other ever again. I'm just like, it doesn't really help me. And I know it's not all about me here. They don't create this show for me, but I'm still going to complain about it because it irritates me. But I'll stop complaining about them.
Should we talk about Eric?
Do we have to?
He's the one with the mullet, which I don't think I noticed when he came out of the limo, but
it didn't really strike me as a full mullet. Like, it wasn't really a mullet.
It didn't look as bad as mullets usually look to me.
Right. It was kind of like a mullet in the sense that I recently had a mullet, in which is to say I didn't have a mullet. I just hadn't gotten my hair cut in a bit, and the back of my hair was a bit longer. That's kind of what it seemed like to me. But yeah, there was definitely that back and forth. I mean, he seemed to have a lot of Gabby chemistry.
But then he chatted with Rachel, and it was similar there. So I guess we'll see which one he ends up picking.
Yeah, and we may have to just readjust our expectations on this. But yeah, definitely did be like, really? You're gonna do this exact same thing with Rachel? How dare you? I mean, he wasn't making out with her, so I mean, I guess
he only kissed one, so he's still in the clear for now.
Yeah, I feel like as much as they seem to think it won't affect things, I feel like at some point, if there are a bunch of guys going around kissing both of them, there are going to be hurt feelings.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
At this point, Rachel gives the first impression rose to Tino, which was not a surprise.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Really?
And Gabby gives her first impression rose to Mario, which I did not get. I feel like her interaction with Mario was a little weird. The first kiss with him was also weird. A lot of people on the internet were talking about that. So that one surprised me.
Yeah, it just didn't. It didn't really seem to be a huge connection.
No, I found it a bit stilted. So
yeah, like I thought that. I mean, it seemed like she could have just as easily given it to Eric.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, or even a couple other people. So, again, we're gonna be, I think, and this is just a wild accusation and statement, but I think that, and I'm gonna say it with so much confidence, just like ABC just makes up stuff like, this is the most guys we have ever had, ever, before, in the history of everything. So I'm just going to say this with that much confidence. I think that this season probably will break a record for most Bachelor footage ever recorded that is not seen by anybody. So if we usually think, oh, we don't have the full picture of what's going on, I think this season is going to be even worse. I think that, and this is just a wild prediction, but I think that there's going to be a lot more head scratchers moving forward throughout this season of like, wait, how did that happen? What's going on? Because they don't have the time to there's too much going on. They don't have time to show everything.
I mean, there might even be a lot of stuff that just isn't even caught on camera if they don't have enough people
right,
to
exactly.
shoot it.
They have half the crew they need to, so it's like we see the interaction with Mario, and it's like, wow, that was a little awkward. That was a little weird. And we just don't know that then later they had a half-hour conversation next to the fire that was just like the most profound, amazing romantic thing. And we have no idea because the only producer who would have been free was in the bathroom coaching up somebody else. And so they came out and just caught the very tail end. They're like, get a camera in here. And it was just too late. It was over.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So that's fun times. But yeah, so of course they didn't get to talk to everybody. I mean,
and so I guess I feel like producers had to have decided this, but they made it seem like Rachel and Gabby were the ones who came up with this.
The girl's making a choice. Oh,
let's do something different. We didn't get to talk to everyone, so we're going to cancel the rose ceremony. However, there are 3 people we know we don't like, which are the twins, of course, and Roby.
Roby. When they said that, I like I was like, the twins and Roby are going. It is the only thing.
I love how Rachel tried to be really nice and she's like, there might not be a connection. I'm like, there definitely isn't.
No, that's just, oh man. Talk about just soul crushing. Like, to be singled out.
I know, it's brutal.
Like that. Not even, I mean, because, look, we all know that first rose ceremony, typically a bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
This is way worse. At least in a bloodbath, you're going to be like, yeah, just, circumstances were against me. I didn't get to talk to them at all because they were so busy, or like, I just barely managed to say hi. I didn't get to show my full potential, but stuff happens. This is like a tactical strike.
You're out.
Goodbye. We're gonna keep everyone
else.
We're gonna keep 29. But you didn't make the cut. The bar was so low.
All you had to do was not suck.
Oh man. All you had to do was not talk to them with your identical twin.
Yeah.
Man, that's just it. Too, I think that the twins went in with a gimmick that just had almost no chance of working, because in my opinion at least, and maybe you disagree with this, but I feel like the overwhelming majority of people are not going to find that cute.
No, it's just an immediate, like, I'm just here for fun. It's not serious at all.
Right, and especially with them, basically, again, they like went together and they were like, yeah, we're the same exact person.
Such a bad strategy.
Like, no, that's like normal people don't see that and go, oh wow. Most people go and be like, that's kind of creepy. maybe you guys should have like differentiated a little bit. Just because you're identical twins doesn't mean that you have to. It's like I would expect to see this, like see these brothers on one of those like TLC TV shows where it's like following incredibly weird twins around. You know, like the twins that just have to do everything exactly the same. That's the vibe I got. So not surprised at all when they got sent home.
At the very end tag scene, we saw Jesse shoveling horse poop.
Mm-hmm. Which again, they just put the black bar over the horse. Like
there must be some sort of like standards and practices that prevents them from showing that on TV.
I don't know what that would be when they can show people shoving their entire heads into somebody else's mouth. And you can't,
two different things.
You can't show a couple horse nuggets.
Well, they seem like they said it's diarrhea.
I need to care for that horse better if that's the case. Well. Yeah, I don't think he was super happy about having to shovel the poop, but oh well. Yeah, I don't think besides, well, it's probably not super out of the ordinary. I was just going to say the only person besides Jesse we saw was the limo guy, and that's it. We didn't see anybody else. But yeah, well, you know, that's the first episode, and I can't say that I am happy. I'm disappointed because, as you know, I have such a hard time remembering who any of these people are. And so I really benefit from the initial rose ceremony bloodbath. And I didn't get that. And
I suspect that's coming in the next couple of weeks.
I really hope so, because there are just so many of these people.
Yeah, based on stuff I've read, I think we will narrow down quick enough, I think.
Well, I sincerely hope so. I really do. Well, we're at that part of the show where I say how many kisses there were. That's right, we did not axe this segment. I don't think anyone has ever told me that they appreciate that I do it, or that they like that I do it. But I'm like, you know, this is the thing that sets us apart. Nobody else that I'm aware of has a kiss counter.
I don't even know how we ended up doing this.
I think the long and short of it was that I felt useless. And so I decided to do it because, look, if people don't know this, Christy is incredibly organized, incredibly thoughtful. She just takes so many notes every episode, and I'm way more disorganized. I don't take nearly as many notes. And so I felt bad. I was like, I feel like I'm not doing anything productive here. So I started taking note of the kisses, and I'm still doing it. May God have mercy on my soul. And this is so... There's no way of knowing if this is accurate. There are probably thousands of kisses off screen. Do I count it consistently? I don't know. I try to, but
You got to make a judgment call.
I do. I make a judgment call every week with every kiss, and I don't think anyone truly appreciates how much effort I put into that.
Sad.
But all that to say, the count is 7.
Oh. I didn't think it was that high, actually.
Well, we had some extended makeout sessions with a couple people that really
That's true.
did the majority of that. But yeah, I hope you all are happy. I never wanted this.
And yet it continues.
Yep, it continues because that is the kind of person I am. Well, Christy, how can people get a hold of us?
You can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
That is true. You have been live tweeting during the shows lately, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Fun, yes. Trying to get the word out.
Yeah,
Trying to create that content.
Sharing some memes on Instagram.
Oh yeah, and you do such a great job. I could never do that.
Oh, you could.
No, no, I could not. Well, I think that just about does it for us here today.
I think so.
And I was gonna say that we'll see everyone next week. But, oh boy, next couple days probably we're making a real go of Married at First Sight, everyone. So hold on to your hats and prepare yourselves for that.
Yeah, if you like The Bachelor, you'll like Married at First Sight.
It's pretty crazy. It's ridiculous. Goodbye.